Saying today, if they're saying anything at all. Listen.
James Comer is using this to try to further his argument that he's trying to make that there were members of the Biden family who enriched themselves on the family name, and that somehow the current president was involved, even though he hasn't offered proof of that.
What this means for Hunter Biden, maybe something very different than what it means for Joe Biden. I should be very clear. None of the evidence in this report shows that any of these payments were illegal. They also don't have any evidence that any of these payments were made directly to Joe Biden.
Okay, so the media has gone from the laptop's fake to the Bidens never took money from China to the Bidens never took money while Joe was vice president to yes, the whole Biden family took foreign bribes while Joe was VP, but none of the cash hit Joe Biden's checking account. So the argument is corrupt foreign nationals can bribe politicians' families. The families can hide it from the IRS, but as long as the politician doesn't physically take the bribe, it's kosher. That's it. And that's why Biden's the chairman. Remember? The big guy? That's the whole point. It doesn't have to hit his bank account. His entire family gets bribed because of him. They're saying Biden's in charge of American policy in Romania, and Romanians start bribing Biden's family. And Joe Biden has nothing to do with the Biden family. And then they say Comer never showed that Biden did anything in exchange for the bribes. Yeah. So what has family got bribed? You can't prove he did these countries any favors? Of course you can. Not only did Biden fire the prosecutor in Ukraine, not only did Biden leave a Russian off the sanction list who bribed the Biden family, but the Biden family rakes in millions in Chinese bribes, and the minute Joe Biden goes into office, he cancels the FBI China task force. And then he covers up the Chinese lab leak, and then he lets a Chinese balloon fly across the country. The media can't connect those dots. And then they say, well, Comer didn't prove Biden knew anything about any of this. Yeah, he did. You got sworn eyewitness testimony from Tony B. that Biden ran the deal. You have documentary evidence that Joe Biden was lined up for kickbacks. You have Joe Biden on voicemail. You have Joe Biden in photographs meeting with Hunter's business partners. If there was no influence peddling, what was Hunter doing meeting with Joe Biden's State Department? With the Energy Department? With Joe Biden's chief of staff? What was Hunter doing meeting with his dad on the day he gets back from Romania? Joe Biden flew Hunter and his business partner on Air Force Two to China. You mean Joe Biden never asked who was sitting next to Hunter on Air Force Two? Just some random dude coming to China on Air Force Two? Hey, how do you know my son? Here's a question the media could ask Joe Biden. What's Hunter Biden's job? What is it? I bet he couldn't explain it. Joe talks to Hunter every day, they say. And Joe Biden has no idea what his son does for money? That never came up in 20 years? Oh, plus Hunter says half his salary was going to Joe. That's in a text message. And then we have bank records showing the money going to the family. So, what do you think the media asked today at the press conference? You're not going to believe it. They asked about Trump.
So Trump is running for president again. Him and his family have benefited while he was in office, since he was in office, from a number of countries. Are you investigating those business dealings as well?
I'm not saying whether I agreed with what he did or not, but I actually know what his businesses are. What are the Biden businesses? That's what business?
I mean, Comer just laid out the biggest political bribery scandal in American history that has national security consequences. And the media says, well, what about Trump? And have you ever wondered why everybody Hunter's in business with is in prison? Both of his business partners in prison. His Chinese partner in prison. His other Chinese business partner just disappeared. His Romanian business partner in prison. His Ukrainian business guy.
Imagine.
everybody the Bidens are in business with is in prison. And the media thinks it's a coincidence. And they think Trump's the only one that should be in prison. Now here's the dirty little secret. The Biden family's untouchable. Because the Biden family is the system. This is the system. Politicians' family members get bribed all the time. Whether it's with foreign cash or board seats or no-show jobs or lobbying fees, stock tips. And we're looking at you, Paulie. The FBI's in on it. The CIA is in on it. This is how the system works. So you can't put the system in prison. But what the House Republicans need to do is they need to indict the system. They need to put the system on trial and make Joe Biden the lead defendant. And now we've entered impeachment territory.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.
Trump attorney Todd Blanche
Because you'd be in jail.
is here now. Did your client get a fair trial?
I mean, no, I don't think so. I mean, we've been saying for over a year that we couldn't get a fair trial in Manhattan. We couldn't get a fair trial with the judge, and it played out in lots of ways exactly as we expected.
Was this judge fair? Did he follow the rule of law?
Look, I'm not going to criticize the judge right now. I think that there were a lot of decisions that he made,
Which happens to be true. Check out the ratings.
leading up to the trial, which really hurt us at trial, that we very much disagree with. They're part of the public record. Everything from he not accusing himself to the decisions he made during the omnibus motion process, the motion to eliminate process. And what happens in a trial is you show up for trial, and all those decisions that have been made in the weeks and months leading up to trial, they matter. The evidence that can come in, the evidence that cannot come in. I don't care. And when we showed up at trial, that's where we really felt that we weren't getting a fair shake.
You believe the judge should have recused?
Look, we filed two separate motions saying that the judge should have recused himself. He didn't. It's something that we went to the first department to appeal it before the trial started. I expect that'll be one of the things that we appeal.
So you believe this judge was biased because of his donations and because of his family financial interests in the outcome of this case?
Look, our system of justice requires not only the that a judge that is actually biased to recuse himself, but that a judge that even has the appearance of bias to recuse himself. And our papers are public. We felt very strongly that there was an actual bias this judge had. And even if not an actual bias, that there was certainly a perception of bias. He disagreed. He's a judge, and in our system, he gets to make that decision, and it's something that we get to appeal, but we certainly felt pretty strongly about our position.
Wow. Yeah. You believe Donald Trump's constitutional rights were violated?
In many ways, yes.
How so?
Well, if you look at, for example, the gag order that was put in place, and you had a situation where President Trump was on the campaign trail and is trying to compete with voices that are saying things every day that he cannot respond to without the risk of being fined, which he was, or going to prison for violating it. That affects not only President Trump, that affects every voter.
No better word than stupid.
Whether they're going to vote for President Trump or against President Trump, that affects every single voter in this country because they don't get to hear from the candidate. We very much disagree with that order. We appealed that as well. There was a lot about what happened over the past year that, I sit here tonight, the verdict just came down today, but really there's a lot that's happened over the past year that I think that Americans should look very hard at. Just the whole way this case was charged. The district attorney says that this type of case is bread and butter, that they do these cases all the time. That is not true. It's just not true. This is a case that the records of President Trump's personal records, his personal checkbook from 2017, is what he was on trial for. That does not happen all the time. That doesn't happen all the time in Manhattan. That doesn't happen all the time in any jurisdiction in this country. And that's fine.
Oh my God.
fine if you want to indict somebody and go after somebody for conduct that happened in 2017. But I think where it becomes problematic for me as a lawyer is don't look me in the eye and says this is bread and butter. We do this all the time. That we're treating President Trump like we treat anybody else. That's not true. That's not true.
Here was Alvin Bragg just an hour ago.
I asked Mr. Steinglass, many people said the prosecution was masterful and flawless. Just want to know how you feel at this moment. Sorry, I'll let you man. How do you feel?
Mr. Steinglass, I think some of you probably saw him speak for a little bit the other day. So he's done his job.
So the sense of what people are getting is this is a question from a reporter praising the prosecution. And then they're laughing, Todd. They're laughing. How does that make you feel?
Listen, they won today. They won today, and they're having their celebration, I'm sure, right now, and I suppose they're entitled to do that. I guess the way I would say about how it makes me feel is it kind of confirms the point in many ways, right? So the point that we've been saying that this is not fair, this is not what this country should be doing to its political leaders, past and present, and then when you see it happen and when you see it celebrated, and you hear laughter from the reporters at somebody who's just been convicted of 34 felonies, you know, and I've said this in the trial, but it's true. President Trump is an amazing man. He's president, he's running for president, and he is a public persona. He's also a husband, a father, a grandfather, and a friend to a lot of people. And so when you see that happen to him, and I was standing right next to him today, and it's heartbreaking because they're laughing at a man, at a father, at a husband, at a grandfather, and at somebody who's running for president and looks like will win. That's something that people should be troubled with, no matter who you're going to vote for.
No better word than stupid. Right? Here you go.
After this came down, you guys huddled up, your team, and there was some discussion with the former president before you went and spoke to the press. What was his demeanor like in those moments?
Look, I've spent almost every day with him for 6 weeks. He's so impressive when it comes to somebody who's being on trial as a defendant. I don't know what it's like, but I've been around a lot of people who are on trial. It's hard. It's hard every day. And he was resolute, strong. We were all more upset than he was. We're all sitting there, and he said, "All right, let's go. What do I need to tell? What do I need to tell the American people right now?" And we told him, whatever's on your heart, whatever you want to say. And he said, "I got it. So we were all huddling in to give him counsel, and the man needed no counsel. And that's what he's been like. By the way,